Is that all you got, nigga?
Oh, no, nigga. That's just the tip of this iceberg. Read, nigga! Read!
What's poppin', y'all? I have to be clear here, this is not meant to be a how-to video. For one, there's many content creators that can do that better. Furthermore, I've already done a how to paint Space Wolves video through YouTube Shorts. This is more of a journal log for me and others to see what this project was, because this is one of the first big commissions I've ever taken, and I've done it for one of my friends. Everything in this army is custom. Now, before we get started with the video, I have to say only 14% of you are subscribed.
Let's up those numbers!
Also, please leave a like and don't forget to share the video. I've spent way too long working on this project, and I'm starting to get into like this Stockholm syndrome of dealing with Space Wolf. Now, if you want to see the custom kit bash job, I've already made not only YouTube Shorts but a full video. Count that as like the prequel to this video.
Interrupt our program at the request of the White House. This is the emergency broadcast system.
What are you? What are you doing in my house? What are you? No, it's a furry!
The first thing I started with was a primer from ColorForge, and then I followed up with a dry brush. At the start, I followed the advice of batch painting, and I think that will work for starting out, but later on in the video you'll see why I don't think it's going to be that great of a follow-through. I would next start painting black on all the miniatures, continuing this batch painting method as these first few steps. Because these are basic parts of the army and nothing really special, everyone's gonna get these. Of course, the one exception to this was the wolf chaplain, which is the cross between the apothecary and chaplain. They're all in black, so I would just do the black instead of doing the basic armor steps. Now, yellow is quite notorious for being a difficult color to paint, and I do have a whole video of how to do it. I didn't follow that video as this is an army for someone else, so I wanted to take their painting skill into account while making this army. Thus, I decided to do an easier method of yellow. Much like the chaplain, I would also do these steps on our characters, but I would do them with a bit more finesse and a bit more detailing to make them stand out from the standard. I would then move on to painting the red across the whole army. Now I'm starting with a bit of a burgundy color to add the deep shade. I decided to sponge on a lot of these tertiary color highlights to not only speed the process up, but make it a bit more of a weathered look, instead of a very clean edge highlight look. Something I did with both the red and the yellow is I started with a very dark version and then I would sponge my way up and then put my final highlights on top of that, instead of going from the standard Warhammer mid-tone wash then highlight back up. It just made the whole thing much more efficient. Much like the chaplain I have previously done, I'm going to do all my blacks the exact same way, and that's going to be sort of cheating. I'm going to dry brush charcoal on top of it, so it feels much more of an illusion of black than actually being black. Personally, I don't really like how Games Workshop does their leather, and I haven't really found a very good recipe for leather because I really like the aged leather look. I don't like it looking pristine and neat. This is kind of the first project where I've been really happy with how the leather turned out. While I'm letting that base coat dry for the darkest part of the leather, I started to work on my least favorite part of the army, and this is freehanding.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Especially with Space Wolves, there is a lot of freehanding. I almost wish they would sell upgrades to where you can just put the upgrade on. I know there's 3D prints for it, but I didn't have access to any of those. So, while I hate freehanding, it was the only way to get it done. I personally didn't really use any special techniques for the metallics. It's just metallics and then using contrast paint over them, then edge highlighting. That's all I really did. And I did all of them in the same step. That way I didn't have metallic flakes in my water the whole time I was painting. Now, this project was for a friend, So I obviously had already talked to him about what he wanted in the army. However, I had found this repulsor in a quote-unquote pile of shame because it was given to me. It's from someone else's pile of shame where they gifted me their whole pile of shame. And I personally do not like the anti-gravity tanks. I think tanks have to have treads, and I'm going to try to resist this as long as I can. I had looked at, like, trying to kit bash a repulsor being able to have, like, treads, but I couldn't really figure out a good way to do it with how the kit was set up, so I decided to give the kit to my friend. Little did I know this would be the worst building experience I have ever had with any Games Workshop vehicle. I hate every single excruciating minute of putting this piece of shit together, and I don't think I will ever buy a repulsor because of how annoying this was to put together. Nothing in it fit, and it was open new, it was in the box new, unopened, and there was just like nothing that fit right. There was constant gaps. I even would have to sit there and hold it for like easily 20 minutes just to get it to sit right. Even with clamps, I couldn't get it to sit well. While this is still a Primaris army, I base this army off of a few books, and I'm going to get into this a bit later of how the actual inspiration for the army came together. But I did have quite a few of the younger guys that I wanted to give frost weapons, and all the veterans got frost weapons. Everybody got frost weapons in this army. I had to work on a way to sort of do frost weapons very efficiently, and I think I found my favorite way to do frost weapons, and this is probably applicable to power weapons as a whole as well. I moved on to decals. I don't really feel like I need to get into decals. I have 2 videos covering how to do decal work. The cheat is just microsol and microset. They will change your life forever, and it will make it so much easier. I swear by decals. I prefer decals over embossed shoulder pads most often because of how easy it makes these. Are you tired of your paintbrushes letting you down? There's a better way! No frayed tips. No point. Cheap brushes. Sound familiar? Hello, Alpha Maze here, introducing the new Zaev, Kalinsky, and Sable miniature brush set. These 3 premium Kalinsky Sable brushes are built for precision, control, and results. Sharp point, smooth control, great paint flow, built to last. Everything you'd need in a good paintbrush. Spend less time fighting with your brushes and ruining your paint jobs, and more time creating amazing miniature painting projects. Upgrade your hobby today for only 3 orders of using the link below to grab your own set. What are you waiting for? Go now! Click the link below and grab yourself a great set of brushes. Now, this was a bit of an audible choice. I had experimented with AK Streak and Grime and just made everything way too dark. And then when I tried to use Nuln Oil, it tends to stain miniatures. It doesn't go into the recesses. So I went to another hobby, Gundam, and saw what they were using. And they have this, like, oil wash, for lack of a better phrasing, because it's not oil, it's like it's a Tamiya wash. And I decided to use that, and it gave me the same results as oil washes, but it was already pre-mixed. Now, whenever you work with this stuff, you always have to be worried about the fumes. Now, the person I made this for loves having his miniatures without a helmet. That's even before we even discuss that these are space wolves and they're idiots, so they can never have a helmet on. So a significant portion of this army was barehead. And I don't really like painting skin, but you sure as damn shit well know that I had a quick crash course on how to do skin. And there is far better people for skin out there that you should watch. This is just how I sort of did it. After I was done with the skin, I had a few models that I hadn't caught up to yet, and these were models that I had added in halfway through the painting process, so they needed to be a little bit caught up. I would just use the steps I've already done now on them. One thing I find that a lot of Warhammer is lacking is sort of the diversity in hair color. Obviously, when we talk Space Wolves, like the first thing I think of is sort of a redhead, but they also have quite a few blonde characters and characters with black hair. So I decided to do the majority of them with red, orangish hair, but I would also add in a few sort of other colors on the bare head. If you didn't catch on, this army is full of freehand. And I got the sort of young blood claws freehand done, but now I have to paint the more veteran Grey Wolf freehand. And it's at least a bit easier this time because I'm working with like a black over red. These colors layer really well. But it doesn't make anything easier, especially for a person who has like no fine motor skills due to a brain deficiency. I don't know why people like stress out so much of doing purity seals. I find them pretty basic and easy to do, so I just flew past these. Much like the skin, the fur was a bit tricky to kind of put together what I should do, as I've never really painted fur, and I did try to go following the box art, but I did end up using a YouTube tutorial of how to do the fur. Like I had previously talked about, I think this is finally where I got my leather recipe down. And I think the Wolf Chaplain is probably the best guide or example I have of sort of how to do worn leather. Obviously, if you have a wolf chaplain, the wolf chaplain needs to have fur, because everyone needs to have fur. So I just took the recipe I already had done on all the other guys and put it on him. My fucking god! This chapter's never beating the allegations of being fucking furries. There's so much fur on here. There's so much fur on my fucking screen that it looks like a furry convention. I was getting quite burnt out of painting all of them in the batch style. I decided to finish the troops off in the batch style, and I would go focus on each individual character and bring them up to an acceptable standard, as each one of these guys are going to get a few more highlights and a few more interesting details to set them apart from the mass-produced soldiers that I did. Now with the pack captain, I obviously I can't bash this out of a Blade Guard veteran, but I wanted to sort of make him stand out a bit and make it a bit more unique. So I decided that his storm shield should actually have a storm in it, and painted OSL. Now I did try to match the colors to the Frost app. This is more of a lore reason, as 9 times out of 10 sort of storm shields and Thunderhammers have a glowing blue energy. That's why. But I also thought it would tie in nice. Maybe it's a frost shield instead of a, storm shield. Maybe it's little food for thought. Maybe it's a bit more interesting. Now, this librarian kind of posed a challenge. Obviously, I'd already talked about a lot of power weapons are blue, but they tend to
I was wondering, what's the recommended amount of dedicated RAM I should have to a server?
Now, obviously, a lot of power weapons tend to be blue, but they tend to be the exact same sort of shade of light blue as the Space Wolf's armor. Before I had painted this, and I decided to make all of the runes glowing, And I didn't think that really worked very well because it kind of just like all blended together. So this time around, I decided to like make all of his armor encrusted in gold. I think that looks a lot better as a result. So this is where we get into a bit of storytelling. This is it, storytelling. So everybody sit down, grab your snackos. It's very important to sort of understand. Oftentimes, I create things in lore, sort of like I want to create stuff I read from the book in miniature. That's where I get the most fun out of Warhammer. So lore is very important to me. Thus, preparation for this commission, and while I was working on this commission, I was listening to Space Wolf audiobooks. That way I can understand the culture, understand how they operate, and a few other things that really makes the army much better because I'm going to make sure it's lore accurate. One of the books I was given is Wolf Time, and that's where a bulk of the army is based off of. I thought taking that book would probably be the best because it's right when the Primaris sort of join with the Space Wolves. So we get to see that first initial join. So these Space Wolves are kind of a bit fresh to the culture, but still have quite a few veterans within their ranks. But the main protagonists are not the Black Manes of that book. It follows a completely different Great Company. However, the main hero of this commission that my friend had was Black Mane. Now, obviously, I could have painted the rest of the army up to be that company in Wolf Time, and then painted up Black Mane. But I thought it was a bit weird that he would have every a bunch of units that were not his. So I decided to just make all of these Black Manes, which kind of sounds boring, and they're kind of the Ultramarines of Space Wolves, but they are on the box art, so they're always at least guaranteed to get some things from the Wolf. But the bulk of the decision was purely made on what characters he had in this army, and the two named characters he had was Bjorn and Black Mane. So I just decided to make them all Black Mane. Now, I previously said that we only had Bjorn and Black Mane. However, apparently I'm an idiot and completely forgot that Murderfang was a character. So we also have Murderfang, and I really enjoy painting the Castafarian Dreadnoughts. I think there's something super interesting, and not only interesting, but cool about the box knot. I think the Redemptors are, while kind of in scale and more accurately big, I find on the tabletop they're kind of big. It's sort of the same issue with tanks, that Games Workshop modeling is just going to screw with your size comparison, as oftentimes tanks are a lot smaller than you would think, and that's why I think the box knot actually works a bit better than the Redemptor. I know, hot take. Flame me in the comments for that, but I had a way more fun painting these two box knots. Now, one of the reasons why the Dreadnought Bjorn came in the middle of this project is because I had a very illegal idea, quote unquote illegal. It's like Lego building techniques where they say it's quote unquote legal. It's not. I had taken another carrying case, another chassis, and used all the bits to build another one. So I only purchased one Venerable Dreadnought kit, but I got two Dreadnoughts out of it, and arguably I could have gotten a third one had I gotten my hands on another chassis. And I think that's what's really amazing about these older kits, especially in this 2010 era, where you can just like get multiple kits out of one. It has value, it offers a lot to you. Now, it does mean he's technically not quote-unquote lore accurate, because he's missing a few bits, but he's actually more in line with the classic model, the original model for Bjorn, than the Venerable Dreadnought version of Bjorn. Despite my hatred for building this kit, I think the repulsor was one of the more enjoyable paint jobs, and it's just because it gives you so much room to work with. Had I had some of the more Horus Heresy style decals, you know I would have thrown it on this guy. But I used a lot of techniques on him that I really enjoyed. Everything from sponge chipping to pre-sprue painting, and it gives you just like so much room that you can do things like dry brushing and stippling on top of underneath edge highlighting with edge highlighting on top of it, and it looks really good. So it gives you this amazing weathered look, and you can get some of those edge highlights in, versus sort of on smaller guys where the edge highlights sort of overpower any other detail you might put on them. With that, the army was painted, but not done. Unlike my friend Dusk, I don't count a miniature done until it has a base. And basing is very important. It tells the story of the miniature. Thus, going on this theme of having these miniatures based off of wolf times, I decided to go with a Fenrisian. I wanted these guys to be set in the spring and not the sort of spring, summer, and not in the winter. So I decided to do a stony, rocky base that had quite a few plants on it, but also still would have remnants of snow on it, because I don't think you can really make a space wolf without snow. So I hope you let me indulge after 3 months of building these guys and 6 months of painting them and then 9 months of having this in video editing hell. I hope you guys will at least indulge me a little and let me show off some of the really amazing photos I got of this commission. And don't forget, if you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe, and let's
up those numbers!
I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. Then it's your chance to be ruthless. They don't wanna see me make it, they don't wanna see me care. Anytime I make some progress, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb, and I think that the pain that's deep inside is what defines. So I won't give up, I'm gonna make it to the top. I don't care what's in my way, I swear I'm never gonna stop. I could fall flat on my face and I swear I will get back up, cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down, they wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt, they're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.